Good morning, Everglades, Big Cypress National Preserve. I've been hearing some splashing down here. I don't think I'm going to actually go down there, but you can see the water underneath all that shrubbery there. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Found a privy, and we're here at the Gator Hook Trailhead. It's before 8 o'clock. The sun has risen. It is pretty cloudy, but the sun is currently out. And I think I'm gonna check out this Gator Hook Trailhead for a little bit before it gets too warm, because I really don't want to be outside in the hottest part of our day. So this is Big Cypress National Preserve, limestone rock, information about the trail. 5-mile round trip trail. I probably won't do the whole thing, and it says it requires getting your feet wet. Well, I do have on my Crocs here in case I feel like waiting. But yeah, let's see. Good morning and welcome to day 2. What was that? Not a gator, something small. Welcome to day 2 of the Everglades National Park. We are Stick the Eagle, and we're currently starting our day in Big Cypress National Preserve. We had dinner at that campsite last night that I showed you, and then in the middle of the night, I needed to find a privy, so I got back in the car and driving and drove until I got lucky and found that restroom. So I stayed there for the rest of the night, and now I'm here in the early morning before the day gets too warm to do some hiking. So I'm just moving slow because it's not too comfortable to move fast right now given the burn. But the sunburn that I had for not being smart, even though I put on sunscreen, I was out in a t-shirt in the middle of the day, which you should not be, not in the heat of the day, 12 to 4 down here, because the sun is so much stronger down here. But anyway, just moving slow. There's some bugs around here. Let's keep going and see what we have. This trail has yellow blazes. There's a lot of these root balls around here to step over and around. It's definitely called Gator Trailhead for a reason. There's got to be gators. Imagine when this trail is underwater, which happens during the wet season especially, and the trailhead did say you have to get your feet wet. Imagine like trying to navigate all of this limestone rock and such underneath the water. Very, very uneven ground. I'm glad I can see it here. So far, no wet feet. This is so uneven. I can't imagine walking this underwater. It's hard enough above water. It is not terribly pleasant, even with all my skin covered. There are tons of bugs flying around my face. I need my buff back on around my ears like I did in the AT. Do recognize that I'm visiting Everglades in the shoulder season, which is basically the season between the popular season and the not popular season. The popular season is November through March, when Everglades supposedly has the best weather to visit. So maybe there's less bugs, I don't really know, but definitely milder temperatures and milder sun. Whereas now, the rainy season will start, so it's actually probably the driest this trail is going to be, because it's at the end of the dry season. And not many people visit during the, as I navigate these rocks, not many people visit during the rainy season. I wonder why. Some do though. There is a tree that our tour guide pointed out yesterday on the tram ride that is called the tourist tree. And people ask, why is it called the tourist tree? Well, tour guide said because it's red and it peels. That's why we named it the tourist tree. We are not in direct sun yet, but that's going to hurt walking at 12 to 4 o'clock. It's only 8 o'clock right now. This is what it looks like to be driving the Scenic road, loop road in Big Cypress National Preserve, heading toward Oasis Visitor Center. It is now about 10 o'clock. The heat of the day is definitely coming. The temperature says 77, and it's not direct sun yet, so it's not as bad as it could be. But I just spent some time in the parking lot of that trailhead because I had some service looking through my Indeed applications, and I heard back from 2 possible churches for interviews. So we're continuing that process. I told you that I'd be applying to wherever I could be and trying my best to get a job. And then I had a backup plan, so I'm trying my best. And we'll see if God leads me to the place where I should be called. Big Cypress National Preserve. Yeah, we don't have rain every day here. So hopefully find the Florida Trail. There's a comparison, Everglades and Big Cypress, and there's Biscayne will be going soon as well. And Dry Tortugas is off on that island there. hoping to get another stamp in our passport, fill our water bottle with some fresh water so we stay hydrated. Inside here. So we took this, it started paved with the scenic road and then it became a dirt road. We continued on, we stopped somewhere over there initially, and then we continued on to 18, which is where the Gator Hook Trail is. We stopped at 18, hiked the Gator Hook Trail, and then came up here. The Monroe Station Wildlife Trek Station is there, and then we turn this way to come to the Oasis area. And then if we go this way toward the Gulf Coast Visitor Center, Naples, Florida is only 32 miles. Again, there's the Loop Road, campsites in there. This is the trail that goes from that trailhead. And this is the beginning, Oasis Visitor Center, the beginning of the Florida National Scenic Trail. Campsite, 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 Florida National Scenic Trail. Found our stamping station. There we go. April 22nd, 2025. So here is the visitor center, and right over here, y'all, is the southern terminus. Southern terminus of the Florida National Scenic Trail. So there's the visitor center, the terminus, the old access trail, and then how you get to the I-75 rest area and continue north. Orange blazes mark the trail. We have arrived at the southern terminus of the Florida National Scenic Trail. Let's do it. This map here shows the entire Florida Trail. So the East Continental Trail goes all the way out to Key West here, but it follows Route 1 and road walks Route 41 to Route 1 to complete the Eastern Continental Trail. But the actual Florida Trail begins here and goes up. You can pick either side of Lake Okeechobee and then goes north from there. You can also go either way that way, I guess, but goes up there and continues, goes down all the way to Alabama at Black River State Forest. Muddy feet, wash here. They say it's pretty dry this time of year in late April to be starting the Florida Trail. Nice little gravel section at the beginning here. Do not feed or harass alligators. Yes, please don't. No feeding alligators. We don't need that. Here's our first sign, Florida Trail, National Scenic Trail, FT. And here is our mileage. We're on the Florida Trail. Yay! Here are our orange blazes to signify a turn. We've gone about 0.1 maybe miles since we left the visitor center. But here we are, Florida National Scenic Trail. We have 28 miles to get to I-75. Go back and grab our backpack and let's go. During the dry season, there is no water available on the entire route. 28 miles with zero water and exposed to sun most of the way too. So Florida Trail brings you this way. Most people start the Florida Trail in January or so and then go up north. When you go up into northern Panhandle, you can experience winterish conditions up there and colder temperatures. And some people don't expect to find those colder temperatures like 20s or 30s up in the northern Panhandle of Florida because it's Florida. But same thing as I thought in Georgia. Well, Georgia's warm. Starting in February, it'll be 60 degrees. Nope. Sometimes it was, but sometimes it was also 20-something degrees. Sometimes even less. I think this February it was even colder. I think there were some February starters who were dealing with temperatures in the teens down in Georgia. We're not even talking about Smokies. Orange blaze. Welcome to the Florida Trail. Hot, exposed to sun. April is not the best time to do this. Hello up there. You about to fly? Just looked like you were. Orange blazes will guide us the entire way. All these butterflies. So many butterflies. It's a very flat and warm, exposed trail so far. It reminds me of the Pennsylvania farm fields that I dealt with in the 80s to upper 80 degree temperatures. And I was like, this is hot. And that wasn't even as direct sun as we have here. First blaze on a tree that I've seen of our orange blazes. A little bit of shade too, this is nice. Well, this is my first ever time setting foot on the Florida Trail. It is part of the Eastern Continental Trail, of course, which includes the Florida Trail, the Panati Trail, the Appalachian Trail, and continues north from there. Go, Florida Trail. That plane's probably headed to Miami. Looks like a water washout here. Oh, that can be done with noise MP3. Good morning and welcome to the Florida Trail. We are Stick to Eagle and today we are traveling northbound from Big Cypress National Preserve to northern border of Alabama. Welcome to day one of the Florida Trail. We are so glad to be here hiking northbound, and it's late April, not the prime season for thru hiking, but we're out here to see how we can do. So let's keep on hiking northbound. A lot of water flows through here in the wet season. I can already tell this place is probably a river. Trying to step over these crickets and not step on them. There's just actually a lot of them just flying or standing or walking on the pathway. I wonder how wet the trail is in January. I'm sure they say that you have to wade through a good portion of the early Florida Trail, that it could be up to knee deep or even higher. So I wonder what it's like in January, how much water you deal with. Any of you guys hike the Florida Trail or through hike the Florida Trail? Let me know. There's those big crickets. When you start at the Florida Trail, you've got to bring the water that you need for the next 28 miles until you get to the I-75 rest area. So you've got to fill up on water from the visitor station, Oasis visitor station right there, because that's the only spot you can get water between here and the visitors, or between here and the highway rest area, unless you want to filter swamp water, and that's if you're hiking when it's wet enough to have swamp water. It is super, super hot out here. It is 11:30, so it's getting to be the hottest part of the day. I don't want to be out here for much longer, wearing the sun hoodie to try to protect against sunburn here. Well, we've got a small taste of the Florida Trail. We've walked nearly a mile from the southern terminus in the Florida Trail. Of course, we've got to go back because our car is back there, our backpack is still back there. We were just scouting out the trail today. And we only brought one liter of water with us. But it's cool seeing this scenery. See that blaze in the palm tree there? I think we've reached the point where we're gonna turn around because it is getting excessively hot. And I don't want to be exposed in this sun for longer. I want to heal from my sunburn. I don't want to make it worse. So we're gonna go to the next visitor center, check out that area. We also need to get some gasoline. Problems you don't deal with on the trail as much, but gosh, this is not the time to be through hiking the Florida Trail. I tell you that. Do not start hiking in April or anywhere in the summertime. It's gotta be a winter hike. It is way too hot, sunny, and I don't see how you can protect yourself against it. Yeah, you can wear long layers, but then you overheat much easier. You need more water, and there's not a lot of water available on this section. I could have gotten my AT backpack out of the trunk of my car and put it on and really teach you guys about actually starting the Florida Trail. That would have been fun, but we're here for truth. We're just scouting it just because we're here. But yeah, I could have actually worn my backpack. Maybe even emptied it of some things too. I've got my sleeping bag and my water filter and everything is in there because I was preparing myself for the Everglades river trip. Though honestly, I'm thinking right now it is so hot, and to be exposed in the river is almost the same as the Florida Trail. So I don't know. I don't quite know. We'll see what we end up doing. That's where I decided to turn around, but Then I realized I'm so close to the mile 1 marker, so we're gonna go look for that. This is how exposed this trail can be. Florida Trail! So we have trees right here, but they don't provide any shade or protection from the sun at all. If they did, I'd feel a little better about it, but I think overall this trail is very exposed to sun. So you really have to be prepared to deal with both extreme sun and extreme heat in April. And if you start later than April, then you're dealing with rain almost every day. And this path here is probably flooded. So really, there's really a set time for the Florida Trail, and it's in the winter months. Definitely in the winter months. Spring, too late. Summer, too wet and too hot. I feel like this would be the kind of trail where you would get up really early, hike and dawn till about 10 o'clock in the morning, set up your tent for 6 hours, maybe take a nap in the heat, in the shade of your tent, and then get up and do a second leg in the evening and find another campsite. If you were doing it in the hot season, I think that would be the way to do it. According to Far Out, here in the Florida Trail, I've passed mile 1. So where's this mile 1 marker at? I feel like sometimes when I'm looking for the 100-mile marker, I'm looking for the 1-mile marker. It means a lot to me to find this 1-mile marker. Where are you? Is there even one? There was a picture of it in Far Out. Just another Florida Trail sign, no mile markers. Look at that. Took a screenshot to prove we've walked 1.3 miles from the Oasis Visitor Center here on this lovely Florida Trail. And we've reached the intersection of the side loop trail blazed by these blue ribbons. 1 mile covered, only 1,110 miles to go. You know, the signs say hike, bike, or canoe. Can't canoe it right now. Right here, though, exists a fine example of when this path was muddy and people went to the side of the trail to try to trudge through it. They also tried going around that way to escape the wet mud here. See all those muddy footprints there in that dried mud. This is how trails get wider when you don't walk directly through it. This trail is getting hotter and hotter. These little pockets of shade are where I stop to drink some of my water because it's actually bearable for a minute. Well, it is 12 o'clock. And my 12 o'clock tip to you all is to don't do the Florida Trail in April. Do it some other time. Do it in the winter. Wow, has this been adventure, small as it is, but a little adventure. Don't know if it'd be any better on the kayak on the river. I assume there'd be a breeze off on the river, but gosh, if the heat is this unbearable now in the middle of the day, I'm not sure I want to deal with it every day. I came down early for that, but I don't know. I just don't know. It does cool down nicely during the day, or at night though. Like it was in the mid 60s last night at the spot where I was staying. And it was so comfortable, in fact, that my chocolate actually re-hardened. I brought the chocolate for early on in the trip, but I couldn't eat it before it just completely melted. So then I just left it sealed. And now it's my indicator of how hot or how much of a cool down we've had because I'm just leaving it sealed in the package. But yeah, I could see potentially night hiking part of the Florida Trail this time of year and then finding a shady spot to camp during the heat of the day and sleep. That could work, but not for hiking during the middle of the day like I normally would in the AT. The gate to the airport is unlocked, guys. You don't want people accessing your runway, do you? Well, it was fun traveling on New Florida Trail. It would have been fun to hit some more milestones and thru hike again, but not in this weather. Not in this weather. I'm also seriously unprepared to thru hike the Florida Trail in these conditions. Regardless though, I hope you had fun on our little walk there. I had fun experiencing a little section of the Florida Trail, but now it's time to get another cold drink from the visitor center, I think, since I am hot. We hiked about 3 miles total round trip, 1.5 out, 1.5 back, and get in some shade again, cool down. There's also a boardwalk here too, but we decided to do the trail.